Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Venusian Womb, a womb journey where dreams are seeded, identities are alchemized, and the journey inward begins.
This season, we're honoring a dream in gestation, a 13-episode womb journey exploring the sacred phase between dreaming and birthing. It's about the phase where something meaningful is taking shape within you, even if you can't see it yet.
I'm Milena.
And I'm Megan.
Let's begin by taking a slow, deep breath together. Feel yourself arrive, land in your body.
This is a space to pause, to reflect, to connect, and to grow at your own pace.
We invite you to join us as we sit in conversation, share stories, and explore what it really means to be in the process of becoming. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 0 of the Venusian Womb podcast. We are so excited to welcome you to season 1, A Dream in Gestation. So before we really dive in, I'm just going to invite everyone to come into this moment, to arrive into your body, maybe closing your eyes. You can place a hand on your heart, on your womb, if that feels supportive. Just taking a deep breath here. Breathe in. And big sigh out. And just calling yourself into this moment, into your presence. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back. So before we dive into this episode, I wanted to give you a little bit of a flow of how we are going to be moving through the topics that we're talking about today. To start off, we are going to be introducing ourselves. That way you can get to know us a little bit as your sisters, as guides, as souls navigating this human experience. We are going to talk a little bit about what is Venusian Womb, how this mission, this movement has been born, and what led us to this point. We're going to talk about the womb journey, what this means, and how to embody this journey in your own life. And we're also going to bring a little bit about gestation, talking about biological gestation as well as the laws of gestation as they unfold in the universe and in the world around us. So to start us off, I will introduce myself. My name is Milena Mercedes. I am a holistic health coach. I am also a sound practitioner, and I am a womb keeper, which is a title that I hold with the utmost reverence. And I feel that it is one that we've truly been initiated on in this unfolding and in bringing this creation to life, which we will go into a little bit more in this episode. But to share a little bit about what lights me up is this merging of sound and subconscious work, and how we can really use these modalities to be able to rewire our thought patterns, our belief systems, to rewire the somatics of our body to feel safe in experiencing a new timeline and a new iteration of ourselves, and to be able to bring that in with sound, with subconscious work, is truly what I aspire to pour into this creation. And I'm going to pass it off to my sister.
Hello. My name is Megan Pulowski, and I am a certified somatic sexologist and intimacy coach. I specifically and love working with women. I also, it's edgy, but I will claim I am a womb keeper, as it has been what has been lighting me up and fueling me with the most passion and purpose for the past 2 years of my life. I am such a huge believer in the power of pleasure and how healing pleasure is, sensual embodiment, especially for ourselves, which we are the only people that can experience pleasure. So I will definitely be bringing in a lot of that juice and magic in future episodes and our Venusian Womb Collective. And just a little bit more about me. I love sunsets, sunrises, anything to do with nature, chef's kiss, and I love throwing tantrums. I've been throwing a bit of a tantrum through recording this episode, just so y'all know.
I'm with you, sister. We all need a good tantrum every once in a while, and I think it's
Mm.
very healing. So, this is an invitation for anyone that's having anything coming up right now, especially around just the way that you are authentically showing up. Give yourself the space to have a tantrum about it, whatever it is.
And before we go further, I want to be authentic here. Speak to the ego identifiers. I've naming who you are is hard because we're so malleable. We're always changing. And I feel like there's this attachment to if I say this is who I am and this is what I do, this is what needs to be consistent all the time. And there's like a little panic and anxiety in me. So I really want to name the challenge in actually introducing yourself sometimes because that's been very present for me in this episode.
And for any other multidimensional beings that are listening to this podcast that struggle to put themselves in a label or a title or a box, we relate. And I feel like this is also such a big part of the womb journey. It's a continuous becoming and evolution of who you are, where none of these identifiers or titles truly describe your essence, right? So,
Mm-mm.
this is the first time that we're really going to talk about these identifiers, but it's also important so you know how we can also support you and what is the juice that we each bring into this co-creative process that we are sharing here on our podcast, on our page, and on our collective. So I think this is a beautiful transition. And thank you so much for just speaking to the humanness of this process and being seen and witnessed, especially
Intimacy. It's
as
what I
we
do best.
as we go into our story of how we met, which is one of the most beautiful stories of co-creation that I've had the privilege of
Mm-mm.
experiencing. But I want to introduce a special person that ultimately was the one that brought us together. This was an ex-lover and ex-friend for you, Megan. And for the sake of speaking about this person and respecting their confidentiality, we're going to call this person Marco. And so Marco came into my life in a very divine and synchronistic way. There was a lot of synchronicities of how I had met his cousin 5 years before I met him. And then reconnecting with her is what ultimately led me to begin a romantic relationship with Marco. And this was a relationship that truly changed the trajectory of my life in every way and was exactly how I ended up connecting to Megan. And I did want to give you some space, Megan, to share about how you had even become connected to Marco.
Which is so interesting because as much as you had a divine connection and how you met, that was also my experience with Marco. It was so divinely guided and orchestrated. We met in a crystal shop that I worked at. Um, and we really connected over spirituality and what we were moving through at the time, which was specifically Joe Dispenza. If you don't know who Joe Dispenza is, go look up Daddy Dispenza because he is incredible.
Mhm.
Um, and from there, the connection it was deep, but it was also such an interesting connection because we didn't stay in connection after initially meeting. We both, our lives took us in different directions. And I remember I saw him about a year after we first met and connected so deeply. And the first thing this man says to me is, "Oh my God, Megan, I'm in love. You need to meet this girl." And I thought it was such an interesting thing because he had to tell me he was in love, but also there was such a pressing urge that I needed to meet her. And I felt it in my body. I was like, okay, I'll meet her. Tell me when. And it's like a year later after that or something. But yeah, we did end up meeting.
So we ended up meeting, and to give context also for me on my end, this was also something that Marco would say continuously of you and Megan would just get along so much. Like you guys are just so similar. And I mean, having moved to Montreal and really just starting over from there, moving from Toronto, I wanted to meet new people, wanted to connect as sisters and be able to cultivate sisterhood in this new city. And so that was such a beautiful introduction. And the day that we
Mhm.
met was also, I think, so synchronistic in its own way because,
I wanna speak to that
yeah,
because at that time, me and my ex-lover had recently parted for a second time, but I was in no if it was anyone else, I would have canceled. I was in no emotional state to be meeting someone new, especially to be meeting a couple that was in love. Like, it was so miraculous that I chose to actually show up to this little date by the water with you guys, and
mhm.
when I tell you, I felt so safe. When we come back and talk about this meeting like, quite often, and he wasn't there. He was there, but he wasn't there. It was me and
It's
Milena.
just me and you, baby.
I felt a kinship to her that I had never experienced before, and the way she held me in my vulnerability, my grief, my anger, my shock, my whole survival state was whew, I am emotional thinking about it because I can't believe I opened up so much in that and with him there because he had never seen me like that, and I felt safe enough to do that with you and him holding well, it was you mostly holding me. He was there. He was holding the masculine container. He was there, and I do appreciate both of you for being there, but there was this immediate I'd
Sisterhood.
say stronger than connection, sisterhood that
Mhm.
was magical,
And
divine.
that's the thing is I'm sure that there are people listening to this podcast where you've had that one connection with someone where it's just effortless. It's magic. Like you don't
Mhm.
have to think about what to say. You're not thinking about hiding parts of yourself. You're really truly bringing your full self into that connection and just allowing yourself to be witnessed. And there's a beautiful trust in that. And I feel like this is so much of what the foundation of sisterhood is, right? Is having this non-judgmental space to feel supported and also just accepted as you are in whatever state you are coming in. And I'm also so grateful that you showed up, that you decided to meet me, because that was the start of the rest of the unfolding of this story. So
Mhm.
we meet, we have a beautiful connection. We were able to truly experience the power of sisterhood in that moment as Megan was moving through the things that she was at the time in our initial meetup. And this is crazy to say, but the second time that we met was actually at a birthday party. So Marco surprised me with a birthday party for my birthday in 2023. Right? Yes.
Girly, don't ask me about dates. I don't know.
Yes. 2023. And so he invited Megan, which I'm so grateful for because I didn't have that many friends at the time. And I'm so grateful he invited you. So he did. And she showed up. And just to give some context, which I think you could also explain, is that this was like a birthday party at his family home that was hosted
Whole family,
by
whole
his,
family,
by
family
his
that I've never met.
family. That was hosted by his family. So this was very much like family and friends birthday that Megan got invited to. And as I said, it was a surprise birthday party. So everyone was told to come to his house or his family home hours before I got there. And then I got there late because I was thrifting. I'm like, I need to buy some thrifting. And he was not good at time management
Mm-mm.
in terms of that. But Megan was waiting at this guy's house that she had basically just met for like at least 2 hours to celebrate me when it was like the second time.
Which I do want to preface, lovely family. Loved, loved, loved his family, his whole family. That was a beautiful night. But in that moment, I realized, holy crap, I barely know this girl. I don't know this guy's family at all, like at all. And here I am sitting and I'm trying to be comfortable offering, hey, do you need any help? Like set up for
Mhm.
this surprise birthday party. And I also minded this was a good 30 minutes away from my house. I am not a driver. I drove myself to come to this surprise birthday party to see a girl that I had met once. It was crazy. It was wild.
Yep, yep. So, and I do also want to give credit because this particular birthday party was one of the most memorable
Hmm.
birthdays that I've had. It was really so thought out, so intentional. There was so much love and care that was poured into that and orchestrating that night, which I'm not surprised that it is ultimately that was the particular night that the seed of this podcast was even planted.
Hmm.
And the way that this actually unfolded is I'm going to give you guys some context. So we're sitting around the bonfire, we're outside. Megan and I are just connecting. Like we're just flowing in this beautiful conversation about the mysteries of the feminine and just like this inner exploration and contemplation and questioning and redefining. And we are both so deeply devoted to our own growth and our own evolution. And I feel like that's ultimately what led us to create this and what allows this
Hmm.
co-creation to unfold the way it does. But we started talking about the ancient feminine mysteries, talking about the womb, talking about the wisdom of what it is to actually experience sisterhood and to connect with women in a way where there is almost this activation where there's someone that's saying something to you and it activates almost this remembrance or this inner gnosis of just embodied experience and wisdom from life. And so we're talking about this, and there's another woman there that's witnessing us. And she was just in admiration of the ways that we were connecting and the things that we were talking about. It really resonated with her. And she made the comment, which I'm so grateful for. She said, I would love to hear you guys talk. Like, I could hear you guys talk infinitely. Can you guys like create a podcast? That'd be so great. And the moment she said that, Megan and I both looked at each other and we were like,
All
wait,
right.
wait a second.
That's a
She's got a
great
point.
idea.
Hmm. And that was
Mm,
when the seed was planted for this podcast, for a podcast that we didn't even know would actually come about. And the
mm-mm.
seed was planted and it is gestated from that day, which we do have the date for. No, we don't. We have
No,
the
we
date
don't
that
have
we met,
the.
but that was the day that this seed was planted. And from that point moving forward, it is gestated into this moment right now.
Mm. And then after that moment, crickets. Like we don't talk for what, 3, 4 months? I think it's 3 months.
Three
We
months.
wrote it down. 3 months. Like some brief social media exchanges, but nothing deep. I don't even think we sent each other reels by back then. And we just let it gestate. It just was poop, like a blimp in time, a little seed planted. And I don't remember who reached out to who, but we ended up planning once the holidays were over, um, a play date. I invited Milena to come over because we had never hung out, just me and her, before. It was the first initial meeting and then the big birthday party. So we had never had one-on-one time together. And I invited her over. And y'all are not going to believe this, but the minute in this room, my office right here, we sit down and we spent 4 hours. We were just joking like, haha, it would be funny if we just like started a coven for fun, because we like to connect and maybe bring in some other girly pops and see who would be interested. And we sat down and we started building and creating, and our Google Drive that started with one document that now is like 1,000,
Mhm.
a little of our women's circles essentially is what we started creating, but it was like a little community of how we would move through, we would journey together. And we started with the elements. Like that was our initial structure, was moving through the elements and what that could look like. And it was 4 hours, guys. We dropped in for 4 hours, our laptops, our papers in here, just like going around. Like it was
Effortless.
like mm,
It was just all coming through where it's
pouring.
one of those things where it's just this stream of consciousness, and there's no thought. Like, there's no actual
Mm-mm.
overthinking or, like, reminiscing or, um, none of that. It was just flow, pure flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, from there, we ended up writing down this energetic structure of how we would move through this elemental structure, which I do want to give a little bit of context is ultimately moving through energy is you're just utilizing these archetypes or frameworks, energetic frameworks to be able to connect to that energy within yourself or to connect to that part of yourself. So, if we're working through the energy of water, then we're connecting more so to release, to cleansing, to how are we flowing? How are we allowing ourselves to be malleable and to move and flow like water? And these are the parts of ourselves that we're calling in and we're sitting with, that we're reflecting about, that we're asking ourselves questions of where are we in this connection, in this
Mhm.
part of myself. And so we did that together. And this is truly the foundation of our connection. And like Megan said, we wanted to make it a coven. We wanted to invite some of Megan's friends at the time, a few of the girly pops that I had known. And we found that there was an interest, but there wasn't this true commitment to actually showing up because, it's just a hangout. So it's just this casual thing.
Mhm.
And that was when we slowly started shifting our perspective of what we thought would just be like a coven, like friends coming together. We decided to make it into an actual women's circle and to actually make this an event and have there be an energetic exchange. Because when you are investing into an experience, you are much more likely to fully show up in it and to actually be present. So we decided that that would be a good dynamic for us to be able to still cultivate our coven and to connect with women and to nurture sisterhood, especially because of the way that sisterhood from the very beginning was such a healing space for both of us to come into who we truly are.
And I do want to speak a little bit how that transition really happened because after the initial meeting we had here, there was no more gaps or crickets. It was, okay, we're seeing each other once a week. What day works for you? Tuesdays? Tuesdays. Great. Me too. Okay, what time? 11? Okay, great. I'll be at your house for 11. And we would spend every Tuesday together. I would leave my house at 10:20, show up at Milena's for 11, and we would
The whole
be
day.
the whole day we would be together. And we had this, there was a forest where she was at the time, and there was this little wood cave that we called our womb cave. And we would go in that cave and we would share and we would integrate life experiences. We did so much shame sharing in there. And that was really what kick started, I think, the circles of realizing, holy crap, this is really powerful. Like, I feel so vulnerable and exposed, yet seen. Even my throat, my voice is
Mhm.
crackling. I feel so held and seen and this part of me that I've hid that hasn't felt like it could come out now feels liberated. And we would just hold each other with so much love and gentleness and compassion for all these things we've been holding. And we were like, wow, we want to share this with other women. Like, if we can do this, me and you, we can do this with other women too. And it just grew. And from there, we would have planned archetypes that we would be moving through in the forest with. We went through like the maiden, the mother, the queen. And that was our
Yeah.
initial structure using the elemental structure that we would flow with in the forest. And we would play, we would share, we would ground, we would howl. And like, we were wild women in there. And it was our time to just one, co-regulate to each other, to get to know each other so vulnerably in the present moment. Like, our stories, we're still getting to know each other's stories from like the past. We don't know everything, and that's something we realize often, like, wow, I know you. I know you, but I don't know you. And we're
Mhm.
learning as we go, which I think is beautiful, and everybody gets to do that. But it was really the beginning of seeing and witnessing what was happening between us and how we wanted to bring this to other women and include other women into our womb cave and all this woomy wild women stuff we were doing.
Yeah, and I do also wanna say that I feel like what allowed us to experience such a huge catalyst in our own personal evolution at the time as we were meeting weekly and doing journeying through these different archetypes was that we walked the edge. Like, we walked the edge of what was what was even conscious. There was a
Mhm.
lot of subconscious things that had come out as we were already in the practice that we were becoming aware of in the moment. Like, I didn't even actually remember until right now that I had lived this or that this is something that is still stored in my body.
Mhm.
There, we walk the edge of even what is conscious, what's even comfortable. Like, there were things that I expressed to Megan that I had not expressed to anyone else in my life because I knew that she wouldn't judge me for it. And that is ultimately what created such a strong foundation of intimacy and of trust within our connection, which is what led us to experience the outcome of it, which is
Mhm.
this liberation and this expression and this alignment into what Venusian womb came to be. And so, like Megan said, we started working with these different archetypes in our women's circles. So we did a women's circle series on the elements. We did a women's circle series on the goddesses. And we did a women's circle series on the chakras.
Mhm.
So these are 3 series that we've completed to date, and we have learned so
Mhm.
much, which is exactly what we want to come on here and share about where the collective is at, talk about how incredibly healing and supportive these spaces are, and how we can hopefully inspire and give permission for others to be holding spaces like this. And it doesn't need to look like the context of a women's circle. It can be even just in friendship, in sisterhood, in personal
Mhm.
relationships. And so, yeah, we ended up expanding. So me and Marco had uncoupled, and I ended up having to move back to Toronto. And we were already well into our Women's Circle series. And when I tell you this has been something that has been a soul reclamation of like, this is exactly what I am meant to do.
Mhm.
This is the one thing that lights me up in a way that nothing else does.
Mhm.
Nothing else. And this was such an undeniable experience for both of us that we fully devoted ourselves to continuing to carry out these circles, even though we were cities apart. I was in Toronto. I was driving to Montreal every single month for these circles because I loved these women, because I loved the circles themselves. I loved journeying through them myself. I loved holding and cultivating these spaces for women to
Mhm.
journey along with us and to witness their evolution. And basically from there, we continued carrying out these circles in Toronto and in Montreal. So we actually expanded where we were hosting these events. And from there, we've closed our Women's Circle series. And finally, this seed that has been gestating for this podcast, this
Was
is the
born.
moment for it to create.
Well, this moment right here, as you are all listening to this is its birth. And I just need a moment
Mhm.
to take that in because we've been gestating her. And thank you for being here, right now. Yeah, I'm gonna invite
Mhm.
everyone to take a deep breath.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that is how we have made it to this point in time. And I would love to ask you, Milena, what is the womb? What does the womb represent to you?
There is so much to say. And also, it's so simple. When I think of the womb, when I feel into the womb, I feel vitality. I feel this creative energy that is raw life force. And It's so interesting because I feel like the way that I've seen the womb before was in a very anatomical, very biological perspective. And now when I think of the womb or am connecting to it, it's such a spiritual and embodied and energetic experience. And I just feel like in connecting with this center, the center within ourselves, it's allowed me to be able to connect to my own pleasure, to be able to
Mhm,
connect to my own creativity, to be able to connect to a level of intuition and inner gnosis that I've never experienced before. And I just feel like there's this also this surrender
mhm.
because you can't force a flower to grow.
No.
You can't force a creation to actually manifest. And this is where the surrender comes in because it's a co-creation. It's not just
Mhm,
you. It's not coming from just you. And I feel like there has been this connection to God, to spirit that I found within this space.
mm.
And I want to reflect this question back to you, Megan.
Mm.
And feel free to just allow the expression to come through,
Yeah,
even if
I
it's something
absolutely
I've
will.
said, of what
Mhm.
is the womb to you?
The womb for me, she is the fullness of everything you can imagine. And at the same time, she is also the void. She is the point where everything is created from and everything goes back to die. It's this beautiful cycle and remembrance that every ending has a new beginning. And every emotion, every feeling is welcome here. She
Mm.
holds them with so much grace and love. And yeah, it's this embodied, like this connection. My womb, I hear like the more we've connected, where she's like calls you back. She calls you back to yourself. And I've found purpose within her. I've found reconnection to self, to my dreams, my desires. She brings out the part it's like this cleaning or this shedding light of where the shame is too, because there's so much shame here. There's so much collective shame, personal shame. And the womb, it really resonate has brought me in connection with God. And I never would have thought I would have landed here.
When I would say the word God, Megan would be like, stop it. I'm like, okay, God, source, universe, higher power.
But she is such a beautiful point that connects me to, as you said, our life force, my creativity, my feeling, how I feel in my body, and my intuition, my gut. Like that is where our gut is. And it's not just woo woo. Having experienced it over the past year and a half, this is very real. Having seen it in you, seen it in the women we've journeyed with, our reconnection to our womb. And I have a hard time calling it the reconnection. I don't know why yet. I haven't exactly figured that out, but our connection to our womb is just so crucial and vital to like just being us, to our authenticity, to our liberation, to our sovereignty. And to me, that's what the womb is. She has liberated me in ways I could have never, ever imagined or thought possible and connected me to God, of all people. What?
And this is exactly why. This is exactly why we feel so deeply devoted to bringing this. I don't want to say work, but ultimately, yes, to bringing this connection forward, to being able to bring more awareness to such a taboo topic, something that most women don't even talk about. And so I think that having explained a little bit about what the womb is, I do want us to talk a little bit about what is the womb journey? What does it mean to journey with the womb? And I feel like I'm going to start us off with this, but the way that we have created a visual for the womb journey is a spiral. And the symbolism of the spiral is the womb journey is going to bring you back to yourself, where you are actually claiming all parts of yourself, where all parts of you are welcome, are loved, can be held. And this really truly is a cyclical path where you are exploring the inner landscapes of yourself. When I'm saying landscape, I'm talking mentally, your mental realm, your beliefs, your thoughts, your patterns, physically, spiritually, emotionally. These are all of the inner landscapes that we are able to bring awareness to when we are embarking in the womb journey. And it will bring you to explore and experience parts of yourself again and again that you may have already
Absolutely.
felt you've experienced and explored, but it'll bring you to a greater depth of coming into your fullness.
Mhm. I really wanna add on to that, that the womb journey, the spiral, is a descent into yourself, a remembrance of self. The spiritual community talks so much about ascension,
Mhm.
ascension. Yes, yes, but descension. Ground into yourself, ground into your body, into all these parts of yourself that every time you come back around, you're gonna learn a new layer of yourself that you didn't even know was there. And I think that's such a beautiful part of the womb, and it's a never-ending journey. It's never gonna end. There's no end point, which I think is even more beautiful because that is just this surrender to the journey, to the experiences, to the becoming that is unfolding.
Thank you. I couldn't have said that better. And a big part of this has been coming into the body. It's been such an embodied homecoming. And I feel like this is slowly bringing us into, I do want to add this other element of the womb journey, which is kind of what you said about the ending or the death is really truly the beginning of the new cycle. The womb is such a cyclical center. And this is how it reflects when we are journeying through the womb. We notice ourselves going through cycles, closing karmic cycles, and also reopening these new expressions of self, these new timelines in our lives, these new parts of ourselves that come out. And it's such a beautiful becoming. It's a continuous becoming because ultimately there is no outcome. It's not about the destination.
Mhm.
Truly, it is about the process and who you become in the process.
I love how you also said the homecoming. It's like a play on becoming and homecoming because it's both simultaneously. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
really beautiful.
And so, a dream in gestation, Megan. What
Mm.
is gestation, my dear?
Am I doing the biological or are you doing the biological?
Right. I guess I'll introduce us to the biological gestation because that's where my science energy I feel like comes in. But biologically, when we're talking about gestation, we have the embryo. And once the embryo becomes fertilized, this is the moment of conception. From the moment of conception until this being has become manifested in the world, this is what we call the period of gestation. So, if we're talking about it from the perspective of an idea, we're talking about the idea, which is where the seed is planted. When we've given our intention to it, this is where we fertilize that seed. And then the gestation is a surrender. It's a surrender as this amorphous entity just continues to become. And there's almost this shedding and reforming and
Mhm.
just becoming of whatever this being is.
It's very mysterious, and the process of gestation, it teaches us a lot about trusting the process, trusting yourself, trusting the dream, the conception of the dream that you don't really know how you're gonna get there, but you know you want to get there, and just surrender. Like, surrender is such a big piece in the gestation period, And surrendering is not easy all the time. You are definitely going to hear a lot throughout this whole season
That's where the
how
tantrums come in.
challenging the tantrums really, really come in strong. And the gestation is really that period between the conception of the dream to the birth. And it takes time. And if there's anything me and Milana have really learned in this journey is when you have the conception of a dream, oof, the urge to want to release it right away is so strong.
So strong.
We want to, you have an idea, a beautiful idea. You want to birth it right there. You want to let the whole world know. You want to get everybody and like, oh my God, look at this beautiful, crazy
You wanna
dream I
tell
have.
everyone about it.
You want to bring it into tangibleness, which is not very possible, but this process of gestation, it's needed. It's how a baby is born. It's before it's born. It's how it grows. So we've come to realize the importance of gestation for everything. It's the law of gestation for how we come into this world, but also how ideas, dreams, visions, anything you want to materialize in this environment, 3D world, whatever you want to call it, it needs its time to gestate. And I feel we've become very well acquainted with understanding the ins and the outs of gestation, which is why we really wanted to bring this to all of you.
Yeah, and I will just add that if we had come out with this podcast when we had first been given the permission, I wanna say idea and permission to do so, we would not even be talking about gestation.
Mm-mm.
We wouldn't have had any of the lived experience and then embodied wisdom from those experiences to even speak about. And this is exactly why the gestation period is so crucial to get yourself out of the way, like out of like this tiny little human mind and just trusting in this greater vision and trusting in the ways that it's unfolding because truly there is a reason for the gestation. There are people, there are things that still need to be integrated within your being to be able to carry and birth this vision.
Mm. So we want to turn it back to all of you who are listening. After hearing us speak for however long this episode has been, what are you gestating? What maybe just listening to us speak, there's something that's been conceived, a dream, an idea, a vision. And once it's conceived, it's now ready to gestate. And we want to know, we're very curious to hear from you. What are you gestating? And it could be anything. It could be an actual human, a baby. It could be a project. It could be a job, a business, something artistic. So we want to leave that in the field for all our dreamers out there that are
All our
gestating something.
visionaries. Mhm. And also
Mm.
allow this to be permission to dream,
Mhm.
to have a vision for your life that comes from a place of soul where there is no limitations. Like dream your wildest dream. There is no
No
glass
ceiling.
ceiling here. So truly allow this to be an invitation to feel into what that dream is that is gestating, that is perhaps becoming conceived in this moment, and allow yourself to own it. Allow yourself to
Mhm.
truly claim that. And when you feel ready to be witnessed, we are here and we are also so honored to be able to walk this path with you and to support you, guide you, and to share the wisdom that we've learned in our own individual journeys of journeying with the womb.
And on that note, we would love if you loved anything about this episode and you're excited about this journey, we want to extend the invitation to join our Venusian Womb Collective, where we're going to dive even deeper. There's going to be extra bonus episodes there. We're going to have resources. We're going to have people that you can integrate with and share your dream with because this is so much more stronger and powerful when you can share it with others. So this is your invitation to join our Venusian Collective, and also an invitation to tune back in on Friday with our first episode of the season, where we're going to be talking about intuition. So today was a lot of storytelling. Next time there'll be a little bit less storytelling, but we'll still bring in experiences that we've learned along the way. And yeah, this is the only week that you guys will get 2 episodes. Every following week after, it'll be coming out every Friday on Venus Day because, Venusian womb. So that is your invitation. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you for joining us inside the Venusian Womb. If this episode spoke to something within you, we'd be so grateful if you left us a review or rating. It truly helps our podcast grow and reach more beautiful souls who are on this journey of becoming.
You can also share this episode with someone who may resonate with this message. Sometimes the right words arrive exactly when needed the most. Remember, growth takes time, and everything you're becoming is unfolding exactly as it's meant to.
May this Venusian code activate the Venusian energy within you. Until next time, take a breath, trust the timing, and keep tending to the dream within.
With love, Milena and Megan.